area.
Yeah. Well, good evening, everyone. Tonight we are joined by, is it Deddrick or
Deddrick, you said Deddrick.
Deddrick,
Phonetically
okay,
correct.
okay.
Yes, you did.
Deddrick
Yeah.
Wilmer,
Wilmer.
candidate
Yeah.
for Congressional District 8 here
Yes.
in Southeast Texas.
Yeah.
So you said you watched the show before.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Okay, so tell me, our number one question. Tell me about that first time you went and voted.
The first time I voted, to be honest with you, I've been I call it uncertified voter since 1988 when Jesse Jackson ran for.
Not uncertified. When the first time
I voted in 1994.
Legally.
1994.
Okay, now tell us the
Jesse.
Yeah,
so I was been in politics all my life, and when Jesse Jackson ran for president back in '88, I was like hyped up behind it, and that Keep Hope Alive movement.
Okay.
And I was 12.
So 84, 88.
It was that had to be 88. No, 84 was the re-election of Ronald. It had to be 84. It was 84, 88. Because we had Reagan. That was Reagan's second term.
Second term was 84.
It was 84 to 88.
Mm-hmm.
And 88 was Bush.
Yes.
So it had to be had to been 84.
Okay.
And so you tell I know my years. So and that was really, and I used to kind of like tell my dad, this is who you need to vote for. I'm watching Peter Jennings on ABC, David Brokaw on NBC, and Dan Rather on CBS. See, I know what I'm talking about. And so that was, and then after that, I started getting involved in local and state politics. And we'll talk about that later. But before we get started, I want to send a special love to all my beautiful ladies and the ladies of the distinctive of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority on a happy Founders Day, because we were supposed to meet on Founders Day, and she ghosted on me. Okay,
I didn't go.
Yeah, she ghosted.
I worked.
She was tired. Yeah.
Them class schedules got changed, y'all. He got a Tiffany's,
and I got
some Tiffany's in there,
and I got a Tiffany in it for her. Okay, and so I just want to say much love to you. I have the utmost respect and honor for any woman as part of that wonderful sorority, because without you, there will be none of us. So this is a token.
Oh, wow.
And every time she's on her show, I need her to take that out.
Tiffany's in here for real,
and yeah, and I'm gonna let her show you what it is.
Showing out.
Yes, please do.
He's showing out.
Yes, and you need to open and show everybody. You need to open on camera on what it is, because they want to know. I know y'all want to know.
Hey, listen, I've been doing this show a long time.
It's all about relationships.
The price is going up. You bringing Tiffany's to the show?
And want to send special shout outs to the Tiffany store at the Galleria. I should have went to the one with the Woodlands, but gave him a hard time because I want to make sure that Julie has the best. Anytime she's on this show, I would like for her to have her favorite beverage upgrade from the Stanley to a Crystal.
It's whatever I can pull out. I appreciate this because I'm a Tiffany's girl.
Oh, nice. I did my homework, huh?
You didn't do your homework, but I appreciate you for the study.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So just
now I got to go get another one. So
don't worry about that.
But this is nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank
just
you
wanted
so much.
to just for Happy Founders Day. For you. And so as you the earlier question was, the first time voted was 1994 was the midterm election. As I'm running in a midterm election, that was a midterm election of the Clinton administration. After that midterm, of course, we had the situation I call the event with the, and I'm not going to repeat that. And that was the Contract for America, the New Gingrich movement back in 1994 started that. So it was kind of like the beginning of what we had, over, 32 years later.
Okay.
And where we at in our political climate, which one of the things I want to talk about today is that regardless of, I call Bloods and Crips, we're gang banging right now.
Okay, political gang banging.
Straight up gang. This is really gang banging now. especially the climate in our nation right now, which I'm worried. And now it's a time for, regardless on what side of aisle you're, Republicans and Democrats, we got to bring unity.
Okay.
Abraham Lincoln said it better, and you historian, a divided nation, never conquers. A divided nation will fall. Every nation that's been great, even go back to Roman Empire, fall because of division. And we're at the brink right now. So we got to start stop lowering up, stop being not-for-profits, and focus on solving the problems in our nation. Find solutions, not trying to be messy and egging it on. And this is where we have to go in our nation. So I want to say that tonight, because I know a lot of people sit on your chairs and they attacking folks and bringing issues, but they're not talking about local issues. They're not talking issues that focus on the kitchen table. Okay. And that's what we would like to talk about tonight, about bringing unity back to our nation.
All right. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for the gift.
Honor. Yeah, my honor.
I do appreciate that. And this is our first time meeting.
Yes.
I mean, besides, I've seen you online and then you watch the show. So thank you for the compliment of watching the show.
Yeah, appreciate
Hope you're a subscriber to the YouTube page. And thank you for the gift.
And I want to add this too, to tell friends and family. A lot of times we get a lot of misinformation from all various sources, on TikTok, all the grams, TikToks, and everything else, every your social media platform. But when you have credible people who in the trenches that understand and validate the information, there's a lot of people that run their mouth that know what they're talking about. But there's a difference when they do know. And people like the petty professor and others.
The pretty, not the petty professor.
I'm sorry, pretty professor. I'm sorry. I was not in jail. I promise. But the pretty professor, please, please dial into this, and I promise you, you will get the best information out there, and somebody who's going to fact check, and which is very powerful in today's time.
Excellent. So let's get into it. So you said you've been in politics your whole life. I totally understand what that means, because as a child, since childhood, I've been immersed in politics.
Yes.
Tell us about that moment. Let's back up a little bit. Tell us about that moment when you knew that you were going to run for Congress. Instead of, because what you just expressed, some of what you just expressed is the things that really matter, that are local to the table. People pay their bills at the table, they eat their meals at the table, they have the hard talks at the table. Tell us why you chose Congress as the place for you to seek to land.
It's a great question. Back November of year for last, but November 23. Just buried my mother back in February, and I was going back and forth to Dallas for work, and started planning my funeral. After learning that, seeing what my mother went through, we had to hurry and plan for a funeral on the instant with emotions. If you could pre-plan your funeral, do it. We all going to go one day. It saves a lot of money and time and paying for your family members to do it at that time. But I said, let me be proactive so I can make sure that my son, whom he's the closest thing to me, make sure that he's will be okay. So when I went to the funeral home and went to the burial site and the mausoleum, and the funeral director kept telling me, say, hey, man, you need to go take a look at it before we turn the paperwork in. So when I actually saw where I would be finally rested at, it was a come to Jesus moment.
I bet it was.
And because I said, first thing, I said, Lord, I thank you for giving me the blessing, the opportunity to even see where I'm going to be laid at. Because a lot of folks don't. They don't have that choosing. And so I said, God, I've asked everything from you to do for me, but what can I do for you? So as I got to Fairfield, by Pastor Bucky's in Madisonville, got to Fairfield to charge up, he said, run for Congress. Okay. I said, oh, no, I said, I'm not about that life. I said, I was about to say, hey, can I cuss?
You can cuss.
I said, hell no.
I said, cussing, but okay. He said,
hell no. I ain't gonna say no, but hell no. And I said, that's like a damn HOA book. And so, and I started being, and it was an act of being disobedient. Okay. Because things start happening to me work-wise. I started losing contracts, and I'm president of a mortgage bank, and we have relationships with builders and top realtors, and we started losing relationships. And that was God telling me, hey, you need to do what I asked you to do. You always ask what you want me to do for you, but you got this assignment and do it. And I said, where? I said, do I run in the 8th district where I currently reside against primary Morgan Luttrell? Do I run against Lizzie Fletcher in the 9th district?
7th
district, excuse me. And I'm excuse me, the 9th district, which I decided to land my feet at and challenge against the incumbent Al Green. And so when did all my homework and did all the research, and since my introduction to Houston was Sunnyside and South Park, and it was an opportunity to come back home. And so, and that's when I decided to make my FEC filing and make my public announcement back in mid-February of last year. And after the week after that, Al Green cut up on the House floor. And during the joint session of Congress, and it just went haywire from there. And of course, redistricting and everything else. And so now I decided to go back home to where I was supposed to be at the beginning.
Now I'm about to be petty.
Go for it.
So you think,
petty, like I said, the petty professor.
So you think the redistricting happened because do you think Al Green's behavior, his breaking of decorum on the House floor during that joint session is the reason why we got hit the way we did with redistricting? Yes,
it was a combination. So let's talk about combination. It's a combination because of the pettiness of the administration. I'm just going to keep it real.
And that's who petty.
And then we got to stop out petting other petty, because petty people are petty. I mean, he's from Queens, and you can't get more petty than him. And of course, and the actor, I'm talking about, rapper, I'm talking about, and so
he's also a Cancer.
Yeah,
I'm a Cancer.
I'm a Leo. And so Leos are the rulers, and but
that's why I got this.
Oh, come on.
Baby. Let me tell you about a Leo.
We love to love, okay?
Y'all love to spend that coin.
No.
Y'all gonna spend that coin.
Let me get back to the answer.
Okay.
But the deal is that I think that with Al Green, what he did on the House floor, however you argue, there's a time and a place for whatever you need to say. Sometimes you got to learn how to get along, but also too is very entertaining for the divisiveness in our nation. If I got beef with somebody, trust me, we're gonna go to war behind closed doors. But in the public, I'm gonna be very, very choosing of it, because at the end of the day, I don't want to lose the war. I want to win the war. I may lose a battle, but I want to win the war. So relationships matters. Now, it should have been redistricted. The first map, so the second map that was approved, signed by the government, was 2333. That map technically was brutal. The original map that was approved by the House committee, and before the Dems decided to go wherever they were going on their vacation, when they didn't meet quorum, of course, and that was petty in a sense. Because the point was proven, again, it still happened.
Breaking quorum.
But you had a great map.
The
first map was great.
Was it great? It was better than what we got?
Let me tell you what the president said. He said it's going to take the right candidate to win the first map. The second map that was dropped, 2333, when the Democrats in the House and some of the Senate and the state legislature, when they departed whatsoever, they just went nuclear and just said, we're just going to take our chances with the courts. And you see what happened. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of 2333.
Did they rule in favor of it, or did they make a ruling against what the West Texas federal court said?
Well, El Paso, but
because language matters.
Language matters, but also too, because you know why?
Supreme Court.
Because we still have the big case is Louisiana versus Calais.
Yeah.
That case is really going to detriment, and this is why I encourage, regardless of who you vote for, if for Amanda, if you vote for Christian, man, participate in the 18th election. Even the midterms, if you want to have representation, you have to put your skin in the game, because data matters, and voter participation matters, and everything the ruling based on from all the presiding attorneys from the ACLU and all the other councils that's involved in this case, and from the Hispanic, I can't think of the name of the Hispanic coalition that their representation, I hate to not mention their name, that you got to have data. So if you're not going to participate in voter participation, you may lose all the Black minority-based districts across our nation. Because like I've spoken on both committees, both the Senate and House committees, that all Black folks don't live in the hood no more. All Hispanics don't live in the hood. We are a blended community, especially in Houston Metro. I can't say for North Texas. I can't say for Silicaga, Alabama. You know what I'm saying? I can't say for, Maitland, Florida. But I can state for Houston Metro, which is a model for our nation, that all economic classes and races can live together.
And do.
And it's reality.
So you mentioned the 18th, just as a plug. Tomorrow, early voting
Please
begins.
vote. Please vote.
Early voting begins. Take your partner, take your best friend, but y'all go and vote early if you reside in the 18th.
Two quality candidates.
So if you lived in the 18th, which one would you vote for?
To be honest with you, I have to. I'm gonna give a disclaimer. My son is related to Amanda Edwards by third cousin. Okay. Third cousin. Okay. that was my ex-wife family. Okay. Amanda Edwards family is from South Louisiana, from the Congressional Lafayette area. I don't know Christian personally. I met him several times on the campaign trail. Don't know him well, even though I sit on Harris County Mud District 248. So we do a lot of relations based on, interlocal agreements.
Business.
Yeah, interlocal business. Because he's a county attorney. But Amanda, I know her personally. I know her family. I know her roots. They're both quality candidates.
Her roots.
Yeah, quality candidate. I know where she comes from.
Good in country. Her roots.
And she's from South Louisiana, from the Congressional Lafayette area. Good people. They both quality candidates. The challenge is going to be in a few weeks when they have to go against,
Now I might have you back, and we talk about
that. Yeah,
we're gonna talk about you tonight.
Yeah,
but I was curious. But yeah, early voting starts tomorrow and it ends next Tuesday, the 27th, and election day for this special election runoff, because we got a petty governor, is January 31st.
That was smooth. That was smooth what he did.
Was it?
I'm gonna tell you why.
You wasting your time on Abbott now.
And I'm gonna talk about Abbott for a second, and we're gonna go on to the next question. So again, that goes back to voter participation, and it's also to think about the future. The reason why I ran for the ninth Congressional District is because I didn't like Al Green. Al Green's a great man. I know him personally for many years. Now, do I agree with him? Some of the things he does, disagree with some of his policies? No. I think he could have done more over the last 20 plus years that he's serving that seat. But it's time to pass the torch. And sometimes we die in these seats. But again, we have a whole generation never got the opportunity, which is Gen Zs, okay?
Gen X.
Gen Xs. And Gen Zs.
Gen X and millennials.
Like. Well, millennials are participating. And so our Gen Xs are the ones who started in 65 and all the way, I'm in 76, and all the way down to 79, 80, we've been excluded for the political process. Now, of course, we have on other folks on the other side, our Hispanic folks and our white folks, our white friends and family members, they are engaged in that. But our generation is not involved in politics. We have not been given an opportunity.
Are we not involved, Gen X and older millennials? Are we not involved, or are we kept out of the process? Just our labor gets used, but not our voice.
Kept out, plain and simple.
Kept out by whom?
I'm gonna tell you like this. I think we kept out two ways: ourselves, and we got to be friends with some of the friends in order to be some of the friends, because some of these positions have already been ordained.
Okay.
And so again, just want to tell everybody, serve locally. You can start from your HOA board, which is the bottom level of politics, all the way up to, of course, the Senate to the presidency. All leadership matters. Again, change starts from the bottom up, not the top down.
Okay. So
always keep that in mind.
All right. So we have this race. You started off in the 9th Congressional District,
yes,
and then you pivoted over to the 8th. The 8th is currently, the incumbent is
Morgan
Luttrell. But he announced, he and several other Texas members of Congress decided to leave the House of Representatives. So this is a wide open seat. There are about 8 people, I think I counted, in this race on both sides of the aisle. Why did you choose that? Do you live in the 8th?
I live in the 8th district.
You live in the 8th. And so the 8th, for those of you not familiar with the 8th Congressional District, that's basically the northwestern suburbs, Waller County, a part of that?
I can break it all down for you. So,
go ahead.
Yeah, so the 8th Congressional District has been redrawn. Is going to be, let's start with Waller County, the entire Waller County. So PV campus, Hempstead, of course, Brookshire, All of those areas are in Waller County is in the 8th district. Also to Western Harris, and this is where it's get weird.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take the 290 corridor and you go west of 290, all the way from the county line, straight all the way down, then it
Almost
cuts
to
off.
Sugarland.
Really, almost, it curves in from the Grand Parkway, and then it goes on a Highway 6 corridor at 529.
Oh.
And it drops down all the way to Mission Bend, all the way Highway 6 goes to Bel Air.
Oh, wow.
And it's crazy. And then how they carve it out with, and everything else. And then also too, it covers half of Montgomery County from 1488, the Conroe and Magnolia exit on 45. You driving to Dallas, or you coming from Dallas, and go north into Huntsville and go straight west. Only thing that covers east is all of Conroe, which was a saving grace for the second Congressional District for Dan Crenshaw, because he did not want Conroe, and I don't know why, but I think Conroe's been a thorn in his side because the demographic shift in that area has shifted because of the fact that a lot of some of everybody is moving into Montgomery County.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with this district, it's very diverse. I was looking at the numbers. It's about just shy of 14% Black. You got a nice size Asian and Hispanic population, and then about 40% white. All right. What I didn't look at is the partisanship.
Okay, so let's
talk about that.
Let's get rid of this.
Because you're running as
I run as a Republican.
As a Republican.
So I always remember that Texas is a purple state. Okay, and we always gauge Texas based on the state elections, that they have not been a Democratic state elected official since the 90s.
Over 30 years.
Yeah, in the 90s. And so Ann Richards was the last governor, Democratic governor in the state. And so
some might say Rick Perry at this point, but
of course, everybody Bush is a Democrat now because of, if we compare now, that's why I run as a compassionate conservative. And so, but added to the answer is that the problem is voter participation. Voters in inner cities in Houston, Dallas, I call it the Golden Triangle, North Texas, which is DFW, San Antonio, Austin, Houston, don't vote. And we, especially in primaries, and this is an open primary state. So if you like Deddrick Wilmer and you want to vote for me and click on take off, more than welcome to.
Damn the rest of the ballot.
Yeah, damn it. Save you 20 minutes of timing. Just being real. You have that right. You control, and this is what I want to talk about. I think sometimes we forget we're hiring, not voting. You have the power to choose.
That's a bar.
So stop thinking that I doing you a favor. No, I am honored to serve you. And so you're hiring me for the job to serve for you. And this is why you get to know candidates and stay away from parties, because every Democrat is not your friend. Every Republican ain't your damn enemy. Okay. And so get to know the candidate, and it's very a clear divide on who really ought to support you, and also to their body of work. A lot of people jump in these seats ain't never served. They never been a leader on their own damn home. How they gonna lead you?
All right.
And so those are the things. So as I said again, it's just that we have to just come together to realize that everybody has to get to know their candidate, and platforms like this is very critical.
Okay, so you running as, you are a registered Republican. You're running as on this Republican ticket for Congressional District 8. Were you going to run as a? So you've been a Republican.
I've been a Republican for a long time.
Okay. When we look at Congress, and I'm just asking this more so for the viewers than for myself. Why did you choose Congress and not county commissioner?
Because
that's power.
It was all,
and we sleep on county.
I love my position on serving on the Harris County Mud District 248 because we affect lives. I got to go back to the conversation that
you're on MUD. You said
MUD, yes, ma'am.
All right. So for those of you not from Texas, that's a municipal utility district. It's real jacked up. If you don't live in the city, if you don't live in the city, you operate under MUD. But it is a local government entity.
Yeah, we believe in government in Texas.
But a lot of places outside of Texas don't have that. They have utilities already built in.
And the way it goes in MUD, so what happened, you have unincorporated areas, you have incorporated areas. So in the state of Texas, if your area is unincorporated county, you got to have government. You just can't go free willy. Okay. Now there's certain communities and townships that go free willy, but in most of your major cities, you have to have, of course, infrastructure. We focus on water, sewer, roads, construction, planning, everything. We do the same function as in your local police services, everything. We have interlocal agreements, of course, with the county, with the city of Houston's. If you go anywhere in the county and you see your sewer well, the city of Houston, that's an interlocal agreement that's happened because the city of Houston can annex all of Harris, they can annex half of Montgomery, half of Brazoria, and almost all of Waller. Okay, you'd be surprised, but it's cheaper for the city of Houston to say, nah, we good. Because it requires a lot of money, manpower to provide the services. So it's easy to just collect money from the mud districts, and that's why I said city of Houston does well.
All right. Yeah. And so the reason why I wanted you to talk about serving on the mud is to pivot smoothly into this congressional run. Yeah.
And so to answer the question that the power is, to me, it's not about power. It's the assignment, like I said, what God had assigned to me back last November 23, was to focus on bringing our nation together.
Went fast. That's 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know. But, but I made a commitment, and so is that, we have a divided nation. And I shared this with before we jumped on air, is that everybody running for Congress are two folks, attorneys and folks work for not-for-profits. And attorneys' job is to keep shit messy. And you know that. And that's where that's how they make their living. And non-for-profits there to advocate the problem. But who's going to solve it? They're not trained both to solve the problems. And when the founding fathers created this union, and when they created Congress, and now we got 535 members, and majority of them are not trying to solve it. Why are we still talking about immigration almost 20 years later since the Obama administration? Why we have a VA system right now that if I'm a disabled veteran, I have to go wait days, weeks before I go see a doctor, but I can do TRICARE for life, the same coverage that I had when I was active duty, and I can see any doctor in the network, med center all over this nation. That the VA current system could do, the healthcare system could do what? They could focus on my disability evaluation and provide rehab. Allow them to focus what's important for them. And so I could go in like Houston, flooding. When I first moved to the city, I was kissed in my orientation of Tropical Storm Alice. Okay. It was brutal back in 01. But why 25 years later, we can't shoot water underground in pipes to Galveston Bay and the Houston Ship Channel? This is why I'm running. So I can bring the federal dollars that we invest in, bring it back to our district to make shit happen, to get shit done. That's the reason. Yeah.
That's a nice little bumper sticker.
Yeah. Get shit done.
Get shit done.
Yeah.
All right. So taking that experience you have from being an elected official, locally,
which I'm on the one running as elected,
right? Too. A locally elected official. Anyone else in your race? You don't name names, but anyone else in your race ever been elected?
Nope.
Just SGA, maybe.
SGA, Boys Club president back in 7th grade, like myself. And this is what's happened in Congress. Too many people go in Congress, don't know anything what they're talking about. They have the same commercials and the same talking point, the same rhetoric, but none of them ever talk about a plan to serve the people. If you look at all the commercials, they talk about the same stuff. Close the borders. We hate Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump. We hate Trump. But nobody's talking about issues that we said earlier. Back to the kitchen table. HEB is high as hell right now.
All of them.
Okay. Yeah. You go buy a plane ticket. Only thing that may be reasonable right now is maybe gasoline. You got to go way to Cypress or Manville, get your $1.99 a gallon. Okay. You laughing, but I'm telling the truth. And so, but we weren't about.
That's if you got 87.
But we weren't about the dude on Pennsylvania Avenue. We got to get beyond that dude. And I say this for all folks, Republicans and Democrats. We got to get back to what America is most important. We got to make this country back affordable again. And this is my reason why I'm running for Congress is it's going to be some battles that I'm going to have with the White House, but it's going to be some strong relationships that have the White House. I am going to work on the other side of the aisle. I'm going to make a lot of friends with my Democrats on the other side. I will. That's because that's the only way it's going to get things got to get done in order to prove our nation.
Okay.
And if you go to house.gov and pull a bill up, and bills that goes through the whole entire life cycle from the actual date it was written all the way to signed by the president, 80% of those bills are actually sponsored by on both sides of the aisle. So don't believe the hype. And this is the reason why you have to elect people who are going to say that they're not trying to score political points. They're going to actually get shit done. And we have leaders. We elected presidents of the same Bush, Obama, of course, Biden. And I'm hoping, praying, and of course, there's certain legislation that the current president have done, try to build bipartisan support. But I'm praying that before he leave office in a few years, which, after whatever happens in a few months, in November, and start the next Congress back in 2027, hopefully that he will have the opportunity to cement his legacy. And I say the word, cement his legacy by being a bipartisan president unified people together. I'm praying for that.
So say November, you get the primary on March 3rd.
March 3rd, yep.
You make it to November, you win November, you're sworn in January 2027, a little less than a year from now.
Yes, ma'am.
What can people, not just in the 8th Congressional District, but Texans, what is the one thing that they can count on you for? Like, what's the one thing that will be your brand legacy that you would do, what you will champion for Texans?
Is to make Texas one of the greatest places to live in our world.
I think it's already that.
We there, but we not all the way there yet. There's some things that got to get done. First thing, I'm not just representing the 8th Congressional District. I represent the whole entire state. My opportunity is to be the champion leader of our House delegation for the state of Texas. And because build the relationships on both across the aisle and focus on infrastructure, our sewer system, our water systems, and let's talk about, even when you talk about community policing, we have a hard time right now. HPD is probably one of the highest paid police forces in the nation, but guess what? The response time is one of the worst because we don't have the police, and also too, there's an ordinance that needs to be changed from the city council is to actually allow contract policing in neighborhoods. If the Heights district here, I say the Heights, if they decide what they call super neighborhoods, if they want to create their own, policing, they could pay up the money, do the contract, and most MUD districts do that right now with the constables and the sheriff's office. Your response times could be not showing up at all to 8 minutes, especially in my district. And also too, if you have MUD districts, because most MUD districts are the high tax base in most areas, we can turn around and provide funding to take care of sewer improvements, take care of the sewer lift stations, water improvements, but most important, guess what? We can provide opportunity for community policing. And so we can reduce taxes. And so there's a lot of things that I can do in order to, when I serve my 8 to 10 year term max, I'm only going to do 4 to 5 terms. Guarantee that to you. I want to retire.
So you're going to retire.
Retires. So come in at 50, leave at 60.
Okay. That's good to know. Because, we have lifelong members of Congress.
That's the problem. That's an act of selfishness.
Like a quarter of 25 members of Congress are 80 and older.
Sad. That's
sad. And
sad.
over half of them are seeking re-election.
That's sad because of selfishness. That's not leadership. That's not leadership.
He said it, not me.
I said it. That's not leadership. Okay. I don't care who you are. And I say that because you have to trust the people. If you serve the people, you love the people, you're going to do what it takes to make sure the people are taken care of.
Dr. Cornel West?
Like I said again, if you love the people, you serve the people, but you cannot serve the people if you don't love the people.
That used to be my email signature.
And I say that loud and clear because holding these positions, you're not allowing fresh blood. It's no different if you're working you work in corporate America. They're going to bring new blood in. But that's why I say you have 2 types of people that serve these positions. You got the partners of these law firms don't want to let go. They want to bring younger law partners in to expand the mindset of the firm. We want to stick to what we are. But one thing about Americans, we don't like change because we have fear of what can be out there We like to know the devil we see in front of us, but we don't like the devil that is
We don't
unknown.
know.
We don't know. And so I bring that up. But I just want to share everyone that compassionate conservatism is something that we have to bring back to our nation. And that bring back moral values in our nation. We just can't just go straight ham in our culture. And everybody just can't get a trophy. We have to teach hard work. That starts in immigration. Do we need 50,000 visas? No. But can we have 3 visas? When I go to Australia and I go to other nations, you go there for 3 reasons: to play, tourism, to be educated, or to work. 3 reasons, not 300, almost 300 different visa types right now. We have to create a comprehensive immigration because we need Hispanic workforce. If you go to many communities and builders and handymans, that's who's working. And I know there's a certain demographic that's out there, and you know who you are, that feel that these people are your enemies. Now, do I think there's some manipulation of voting and trying to get the numbers up? I don't have proof of that, but that's an argument. But what I do know, that people who come across our borders, they work hard. They're not murderers. They're not drug dealers. These people really love America more than most Americans love our own damn country. And I say that loud and clear. And this is the reason why that we have to have an immigration policy. And George W. Bush said it many years ago: we can't kick people out, and I'm paraphrasing, who've been here before us.
Yeah.
Okay. And these people are the people who cook our food. And like Sylvester Turner said years ago, these people clean our hotel rooms. These are people who serve us. And so I just want to let everyone know is that just because you're Democrat and Republican or whatever, do we have to have a strong border? Yes. We have to have a process. But if an employer wants to bring, whoever, you come from South Africa, you come from Ireland, you come from Denmark, or if you come from Honduras, you still go through the same process like everyone else.
Okay.
And but people who've been here forever, we have to make it affordable.
So you can't come on a genius,
you know what I'm saying?
Genius visa.
Thank you. Yeah. But if you've been here, but this is the thing, if you've been here forever,
okay,
we can't tell you to go back home if you've never been. We have to be very sensible with this. And I know that's a whole nother topic we could talk about right now with the environment, with our immigration policies that's been enforced.
But where do you draw the line in immigration?
I draw the line right now that we need to have some type of czar for ICE in our immigration enforcement. I think now it's getting a little bit too invasive.
You don't think we got enough government involvement with that already?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
okay.
We have to protect our borders. But it's the enforcement of it has to make sense, because we don't want to get to a situation that we all got to walk around with passports in possession.
No, I do that.
And this is where it's getting scary. And that's one of the first things I'm going to do in Congress is to have these conversations, because it's cute, but it's not cute.
It's not. When you have a secretary or director of Homeland Security telling people that they need to carry their papers and using that particular language. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. And again, I wasn't there to hear what she had to say. I heard what was quoted. I'm hoping that she probably take those words back. That is not a policy of the United States of America, that each American citizen have to carry a passport. You carry identification, would be a driver's license, and you want a passport, that's cool. But this driver's license that determines citizenship, though.
And again, but it's proper to carry some type of identification. If something happens to you, we want to find your next of kin, not to validate your presence of the United States whatsoever. But let me say something that may appear to be controversial, and it's something that's been on my heart. What has happened when I go to a lot of Republican events? They're mainly a certain demographic. They're my father's generation.
Okay.
75 plus.
Okay.
75 old white Americans who go to these events. And sometimes I kind of dissect it to say, okay, and these ones who I talk to, they hard on this immigration. And sometimes I understand that, me being president of a mortgage bank, I know where everybody make. I know how everybody spend their money. Running a non-depository financial institution. But what has happened that if you ask most employers now, nobody wants to work. But who is taking care of these people who are not working? Still got to eat, still got to sleep. You still got to take care of yourself. These are the people who are taking care of their grandkids. These are people who are taking care of their children. But what they're telling their grandparents, there's no jobs. These people, the folks who come on the board are taking my jobs away. They're not taking your jobs away. You got to go work. You got to compete. My son and myself and you, we have to compete with competitors all across this world. I go to Australia, it's like the 90s. They're grinding up there. And companies are going over there. They're going where the workers want to work. It's not all about wages. It's who have the work ethic to work hard. And you can't demand $45 an hour and you taking vacation every 2 weeks with your unlimited PTO. I mean, it just has to make sense. When you go to other nations, they're grinding. And so I bring this up because it all goes back to economics. This happened in Jim Crow because it was the blacks. And I say the blacks.
Capitalize the B.
The blacks, that we were the ones who were taking their jobs during the Jim Crow era. And now it's transitioned to our brown and other folks who come to our nation. But we have to have that real come to Jesus conversation now, that we got to compete. We got to go in our ground. We got to get educated. If you got to take a short course, if you got to get another trade, go to your community colleges. You don't have to go to your 4-year colleges. Your community colleges do just as powerful as your 4-year. Please take advantage of that.
Let's pivot right there.
That's
where I wanted to go next.
Okay.
So let's talk about education. There was a time Texas set the standard for education.
Yes.
The books they still come from Texas. The books do.
They're the biggest purchaser of textbooks.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, the companies,
Ogden, McMifflin, and others.
The exams, the standardized tests, all of those things come through Texas and have for quite a while. But academically, Texas is hurting. I see it every day. Texas is hurting, and I'm sure it's a national thing where we're seeing our students, how we're performing on a global stage. We're behind as a nation academically. And a lot of that is because of legislation. Right here in Texas, we have vouchers, right? So we're taking public dollars and putting them into private schools. Many of the schools that the governor has put in this first wave, so to speak, are in the Houston metro area. What is your position on school vouchers and the necessity for them, or how they should be regulated? Should they exist? Like, what is your stance on school vouchers?
Great.
I'm gonna start with public schools, then we're gonna go to higher ed.
And I'm gonna give you the history. I'm a child of an educator. I'm a child of oil and gas, Exxon kid, and I'm a teacher's son.
Okay.
Education's been part of my life. Every woman I had in my life has been in education, to be totally transparent with you. So I've had a front row seat in my philanthropy commitment to public schools. I was a champion at South Fair ISD. And it comes from, and I'm gonna talk on the legislative side and I'm gonna take it home. The problem is that you have people who are writing these legislations, advising TA. TA need to be a separate agency from the governor, in my personal opinion. I need to be an independent body, okay? And I think that whoever running TA, I think it needs to be elected official, okay? And if it's going to be a appointed position, point someone who sits on a school board. Okay. They need to have some parameters. It's either to be elected or the Texas legislature need to rewrite it, whereas that person has to have so many years to be certified to be to be the director of TA, my personal opinion. And so that's number one. But you have everybody's jockeying between charter, homeschool, private, and public education. And so everybody is lobbying funding to make sure whatever. And what has happened, the fact that I'm a public school kid. I believe in K to 12. I believe public education is grooming for who I am as a person. But when it comes down to independent school districts, we still need to allow independent school districts to be what they are, independent. Allow them to you set a rubric from the TEA to say these are the minimum standards. But if that school district wants to exceed that as district independent ISD specific, like you have federal and state, you have federal guidelines and regs, but you have state specifics. Same, the rules applies because you may have a leaf is totally different from Sci Fair. Sci Fair is totally different from from Beaumont ISD. So every ISD is different. But when it comes down to funding and vouchers or whatever, I'm not a big fan of it. Do I say you can have vouchers? I feel that they don't hurt. But again, vouchers need to be used to supplement, you're saying, for individuals who cannot afford it when you have failing schools in their area. If they have failing schools in those areas, and a failing school means that if they're not performing to a certain standard that TEA sets. But again, if the school district sets, then they have an opportunity to receive, hey, if you want to transfer to open enrollment to another campus down the street, we'll provide busing for you, or we'll give you a voucher, not paying 100% of the tuition, no, but may give you a major contribution to offset the expenses to consider if you want to go to a parochial school, a private school, homeschool, maybe not. And I know the law stipulate they can help reimburse materials for homeschool, but also to our charter system. I'm not a fan of charter schools, and sometimes I feel that charter school systems have been a chipping block of destroying our public school systems. If you want to talk about ideology being spreaded, it happens in the charter school. Public schools, that's a big myth. Okay, I do not know one school district that I know off the top of my head that I'm connected to superintendents, assistant supes, principals, and educators that tell me they spread ideology in public school. That is big myth. Now, school board members may entertain that idea on school board meetings because they're elected from the community. They have every right to put anything on the agenda to have a conversation about. Does not mean it's going to get passed, because the biggest influencer on any school board is, of course, the superintendent and their people, and of course their council who represent on their school board, which is called the MVP of the board, because they keep everybody in check and everything else. So, but how we take this state, because I remember back in the 90s, every teacher from Louisiana and surrounding states moved to Texas. They're paying well. You had great, beautiful schools, but it goes back to parenting. Parents need to start parenting. Your kids are cutting up buffoonery in these damn classrooms. Parents start parenting. Your kids are cutting up the disciplinary. So again, yes, if you acting up in the classroom, and my kid is a C student, average student, they have to be on level classes. But all the crazies, the kids who cutting up are on level classes. So this is why parents have to spend extra money on tutoring so their kids can go to K-level honors classes and AP classes to be away from population. It's like a prison. And it's a prison because you're not holding your kids accountable and support your educators. If your teacher said your son or your daughter's cutting up, man, believe them. Trust me, they have too many other students to attend to. So again, if they cut up at home, you know damn well they're going to cut up in the classroom, because when they get to her, she's not going to put up with that shit. And like, you could drop this class and de-enroll and take your ass home. So am I lying?
So I don't teach high school.
No, I'm talking about when they get to community college and when they go to college.
Yeah.
You're not going to put up with that when they come to your level. And they're not prepared. They don't come to you, huh? Yeah. They don't get to you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they opt out before they even enroll. Now, there are some challenges and incidents that will occur, but let me get back to this. So, vouchers, you're in favor of school vouchers, yes or no? Yes or no?
It's not. I'm gonna
yes
tell you,
or no. It got to be yes or no. We got to stay on our time.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
But like I said earlier.
Now he's the disruptive child because I asked him a specific question.
I know, but
he got to put a button.
But I have to, because it's so broad. Because it's not just giving a clear check and just say forget public schools. I'm just going to use this money to buy whatever. In certain states, it's like that, like in Louisiana. I'm totally against that. It has to be only the need if you have a failing school district, like in HISD, when you had a state takeover. The voucher could have been available for individuals they want to go to straight Jesuit
the reason for
they want to go
HISD takeover was the performance of the students, or was it the leadership in the schools? Well, in the ISD on the board.
He always starts up top.
Okay.
You know, everything's.
I just want to make that
He
clear
always
because
starts
I
up
think
top.
it's a disservice to those in the classroom when you say that the school district is failing. I think a lot of it is
You have individual schools,
a top-down
Yeah.
thing.
and you have to always realize that every school. I don't care if you got 300 campuses. You're gonna have some school
You
that's
got
gonna
to
be
equip
falling
them
behind.
though. You got to
And-
equip them according to their needs, not according to their zip code.
But it goes back to parenting. We can't put so much pressure on the superintendent all the way down to.
I don't
the
disagree with
staff.
you,
but we got to put emphasis on the parents.
But we talked about economics earlier, right?
Yes, economics a lot.
Economics plays a huge role in parents' involvement in schools. The more successful a family is, the more likely that they're going to have the time and resources to invest in their child's education, even paying attention to it, being there to go to the PTA meetings, all of those things. It impacts it. You have a lot of families led by people who work hourly jobs, right? Shift work.
Mhm.
Shift work ain't like being a teacher or corporate job because you ain't got no PTO. If you ain't here, you ain't paid.
Of course.
Well, you got to be paid because you got to keep a roof over their head. You got to keep the lights on. You got to feed them. So we can't ignore that. But I do want to move on.
But I'm gonna add this to it. I know we got to move on, but I'm gonna add this to you that even though we could pump millions and billions and billions of dollars in whatever, it still starts at home. It's even though Saturdays and Sundays, your child got to act right in the classroom. And a child who's disciplined is going to be a child that can perform. But when a child is not disciplined, they're not going to perform. And it starts from love. We have to love our children. Fathers, the mother can be working. What the daddy do? It took two to make that child. And that's a whole nother conversation, another given day.
Okay.
So we can blame the system, but we got to come back home. We got to look at ourselves.
I'm not debating that.
You know
at
that.
all.
Mhm.
I'm not debating that at all. But I am saying that the onus is on the leadership of the schools because there are things that they can do and recognize to invest in their students, just as the family does. If you can alleviate some tension, if you can have resources that are available, we've seen it happen in silos across the country where the leaders in the schools recognize a problem and come up with a solution. There was a school we saw on 60 Minutes not too many years ago where the principal put washing machines in the school
To wash those clothes.
to wash. Like, think of the difference that makes. But
I know where you're going. Let's you open up a womb, Baba. I know.
We're gonna talk.
Yes.
I welcome you back.
Oh yeah,
I
we're gonna
welcome
come
you
back. Yeah.
All right, but not today.
Mhm.
So I
Woo.
wanna ask you this
Yes, ma'am.
real quick. What percentage of a raise should public educators receive in a one-time lump sum to get them on track?
You said based on a teacher or a faculty member?
Yeah, faculty. Like, and I'm gonna use this as an
Okay, go ahead.
example. I was gonna say this question for another guest, but they ain't responded to
No, bring it to
the
me.
emails.
Mhm.
So Houston Fire Department
Yes,
got this huge lump sum.
Yeah.
Done broke the city,
Joe did.
right?
They fought with Sylvester and Whitmire took care of it.
Whitmire came in and was like, y'all can have whatever y'all want.
Yeah.
Right. And now their what do you call them? Their union chair is running for county judge. Okay. The amount of money received by Houston Fire Department, of which my biggest beef with it is many of them don't live in the city. So that's taking funds
And they redistributed to other areas.
not just other areas, other counties.
Now they stay in Harris County in the mud districts. It comes back into the city.
If they live in Harris County.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it comes back. Or they live in areas that,
No, if they live in Harris
it's
County.
county. Yeah, it comes back to the city.
If their home is in Fort Bend, Brazoria, Galveston County, that's not helping us.
Yes.
Okay. But anyway,
Mhm.
what percentage, lump sum percentage, like we saw with Houston firefighters, just you as a private citizen, what percentage do you think would be reasonable for public school educators in Southeast Texas, particularly in the Houston metro area?
I feel we should at least, and if it doesn't hurt the balance, hurt the books, if you provide at least 2 months of compensation. And the reason why is because a lot of teachers don't take 2-month contracts. Some are now, but hear me clear. So a lot of teachers are on 10-month contracts. And they're now on 12-month contracts.
They're on 10 months,
And
but they
so
get
10
paid
months,
over the span of 12.
And some do, some don't. you know, and some don't, because they say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up a summer shift. And a lot of people love that summer money because it does well. And so we provide at least 2 to 3 months, minimum 2 months, 3 months of compensate. Hey, here's some money, this money. And now the problem is that it get taxed, you know, about 35, 40%, you know, whatsoever. And that money right there, again, because we could just dump money. But would that just encourage anyone to say, does money solve everything?
So we only had this conversation when it comes to educators.
Yeah.
Every other public sector job, we think they deserve it, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's firefighters. We understand, the job is dangerous. You don't think educating is dangerous? That's dangerous as hell.
What would you think is what you think would be reasonable?
I would say a 25 to 30% minimum raise. So let's say a teacher.
I'm gonna do the math right now.
Say a teacher make, let's say, 75 grand. That's their salary right now. I think it's critical that we are paying educators. So that is my challenge to you when you're elected, you know, to be an advocate for educators. Educators need to be paid a reasonable wage.
It's almost $19,000.
Okay.
That's a big jump.
That is. But it's not even that big though.
I mean, you're looking at budgets. So you got to understand. So independent school districts are funding in different ways. They get a reimbursement from the state based on per student. They get Title I funding, and most school districts get Title I funding, and would do a free and reduced lunch program. And also to your independent, and also to your tax dollars that are generated from your tax base whatsoever. And they have a truckload of employees. So the key is the fact that you just can't just say we're going to take care of just the teachers when you forget about the paraprofessionals.
I mean, they get a raise too. So what we would see is a decline in all these different administrative roles. Because you got a director for cutting toenails in some school districts. Like you got a director.
So you got to clean some of the fat.
You got to clean some of the
fat. But there's a lot of support positions I use, like counseling and crisis support. I use that. That is one of the most essential departments for every school district to have. And the reason I advocate for that, because you know, when a kid, something happens to a child or even a faculty member, it impacts the community. Schools are community based. And so you have to have teams of people to support. And some districts may say it's not needed. No, because people don't get support at home. We just think at home, just people, because parents are not parenting anymore.
Yeah, I'm not debating that.
And so,
but there's a myriad of reasons why that occurs.
So, but to answer the question based on compensation whatsoever, yes, 2 to 3 months is needed, but also too, we have to do what it takes to retain teachers. Is it money? Is it support?
I'm gonna tell you,
it's hiring right.
It's definitely money.
Yeah,
definitely money. Definitely money. Okay, but let's move on to higher ed.
But let me say this one thing, and this is when the Department of Education, one of the things that I would do when I get to Congress is to allow the White House to reconsider and reformat on, and they want to dissolve it, but make it smart. Whereas that the Department of Ed will provide the funding for school districts who advance based on discipline, who advance based on performance, to provide that 30%, 25, 30%.
A lot of that, no, that's a lot of that, what you just named comes down to already the socioeconomics that communities are in, their state. And I say that because if you do it based on those things, River Oaks Elementary right here off Kirby in San Felipe gonna always win. Versus what's the school
if you take
around the corner from TSU, you know. So what I'm saying is it depends on the socioeconomics, what is happening. If there's already suffering, right? And you got stay-at-home moms with nannies in one neighborhood, and then you got shift working parents in another. The economics already got them.
But we won't do it. But we won't do it school to school. We do it district to district.
Okay.
And so, because again, you always got to have your pluses and minuses. You're gonna have a battle regardless.
Okay. Let's move on to higher ed. So with higher ed, what we're seeing across the nation, particularly in Texas, what we've seen since September, since the death of Mr. Kirk. All right. If someone said anything at all, and I'm not talking about law cases, ETAL, but at all, they saw their jobs snatched from them. They saw punishment. When and where do faculty members in higher ed stop having First Amendment rights and ideology?
You know, it gets to this argument of that we have selective First Amendment. And selective First Amendment is that I can say, hey, I have a opinion about you. She's a great host, but she's not a great person. Okay. And some of your artists may counsel me for that. But that's my right. But I think there's a lines of it when it gets sensitive based on, you know, saying derogatory things about a person. I can say anything I want to say in private. But when we get down to public, that's when the lines get crossed. And of course, most people have contracts in agreements, like educators do public, you know, do reputational risk that they can't engage in certain activities and say certain things on social media platforms whatsoever. But the First Amendment, and again, I'm not a constitutional attorney, I'm not a constitutional law professor like the president we had, is that, you know, that you can say whatever you want to say in your own home. When it get down to the public, you know, I always say, you know, like our parents raised us, have some home training.
No.
You don't think so?
No. First Amendment's First Amendment, period. Okay. Hard stop.
Hard stop.
Hard stop.
So I can cuss you out and this.
Cuss me out. Read me for filth.
People in their feelings. And again, that goes back. I agree with you on that. We live in a culture that people are so damn sensitive.
Because I don't want you freezing my rights.
Yeah, thank you.
Because you frozen your own, so now you want to freeze mine. Well, because you made a personal choice.
Yeah, you made a personal choice, but we got to start telling people stop being so damn sensitive. So again, if you talk about Charlie Kirk, allow them to talk about Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm using those two examples as a prop for her as a prop. So again, it goes for the geese, it goes for the gander. Don't do Jasmine. My bad. Yeah, we'll say that.
I've known Jasmine for over 20 years. Don't do Jasmine.
I'll leave her alone. But like I said, again, you know, we have to use some type of level of manners. I understand that, but
most people who made what have been many, not most, many that I've seen that have made what has been called derogatory comments about Mr. Kirk, they were comments that were just his own words being reshared. And that's unfortunate that your words live beyond your breath.
And as an American, and I say this, you should have every right to say and do whatever. As long as you don't put your hands on me, you're good. But we have the selective, and that goes how we argue between Genesis to Revelation. Everybody interprets it the way they want to interpret in most churches that we attend in our nation. Same rule applies with the Constitution. We want to cherry pick and say, okay, you could talk about Deddrick Wilmer and call him every name in the book, but you can't talk about, you know, the late Charlie Kirk. That's when, again, it goes back again. You can do whatever, but like I tell people, we live in a time of social media. People keep a record of everything you say. What you say behind closed doors, say your thing. But when you get in the public,
they keep a record of closed doors too.
And then now, what you say, you got the glass.
Listen, back to higher ed though. Yeah. So we're seeing educators in Texas being punished. We're seeing long-standing academic materials being pulled. I mean, Plato. I remember being a freshman, taking freshman humanities, and learning from these great philosophers, right? Whose writings transcend generations, transcend time. Now, Plato has been pulled. Like, what are we teaching? Let me not even ask that question. What is your position on the regulation of academic freedom in today's society in Texas, public universities and colleges?
And I'm running for, from a federal perspective. And of course, we influence what the state does. Everything, all this came out with CRT. You remember the critical race theory.
Of course, that is taught in CRT. Graduate school and law school, not in public school.
So what has happened, that started several years ago and became wildfire during the election back 4 or 5 years ago. And it really put a cloud over universities.
It's sensationalized. It gets the people going.
Yeah, it created a cloud. And always realize that, and I tell this to everyone, universities are independent bodies. And they go through curriculums and they approve by accreditation, different organizations. And that's what I love. And I think that state and government should just, state and feds, to allow us to do the funding, provide the support, but allow these accreditation associations to do their job, and realize that every student has a choice. If they want to go to Brown University on the East Coast, if they want to go to FAMU in up in Tallahassee, or if they want to go to Talladega, other side of between Birmingham and Atlanta, or if they want to go to LSU in Baton Rouge. So everybody has a choice, and each university is totally different. But leave that sanctuary where a student, if they want to go to STEM or liberal arts, they have that choosing. But I think the role of government, and people talk about less government, that's one thing that less government need to be. We want big government in certain areas and less government in certain areas. That need to be less government. Provide the funding and let these teachers teach and let these students lead. Because again, we have a global workforce, okay? And we have to compete worldwide. The president said that we don't have enough skillful, neoscientists, nuclear scientists, so we got to bring them over across the border. He said out of his mouth.
Okay, now let me ask you another question, because I like education. We see a drop off of people, skilled laborers, welders, electricians, plumbers. What would you do as a member of Congress to bring funding back to Southeast Texas to expand those areas, the workforce in those areas? Because those are, like educators, those are jobs that we must have in society.
And that's a great question. So what I would like to do is that, we normally require students to start middle school and high school to take 2 years of foreign languages. I want to engrave that in a lot of students to start taking 2 years of junior RTC. And the junior RTC is not just teaching discipline, wearing a uniform, but it's teaching how to pipe, how to weld, teach you how to drill.
I never learned that in ROTC.
But then you will now. You will now. Because if you go to the military, that's what they train you at. They train you from how to how to run a program to file paperwork, all the way down how to pipe fit.
Right, but that's based on where you land on testing.
Where you land on testing on your ASVAB. So we could start those opportunities, and with that will come from the Department of War, which is formerly known as Department of Defense. Why you laughing? That's petty.
Because it shouldn't be called the Department of
Defense.
War. It should be DOD.
Yeah. So formerly known as DOD, and they can provide that funding for school districts, as we talked about earlier. See, look at me, petty. And provide that funding for. You could be argued, and provide that funding for school districts in ways that they can start teaching. Because what has happened now in the model setup, that the guidance counselor decide, okay, well, you're a good kid to go to this program, and they don't have 10 kids. They go for 1 hour a day. You're not going to learn welding 1 hour a day. That needs to be a whole block. And you may have a whole semester where these kids start in 2nd hour to 5th hour, and they go into the whole components of welding. So when they graduate from high school, they have their OSHA card, they have all these certifications, whatever, and they coming out making $35, $40 an hour, working on a ship channel, working these plants, and working these oil fields straight out of high school. And this is when they work internationally because they're young. They ain't no kids. They just living their best life and doing well. This is how you can start building generational wealth. And this is where that we can use all this defense dollars. There's a lot of part of our budget goes to our defense department, and to redistribute those dollars so we can build our nuclear scientists early. And this is why I want to beef up the junior RTC program starting in elementary school, because we could start teaching
in
the
elementary
basics.
school.
Yes, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Let's not.
No, I want to talk about that.
You can talk about that next time.
Okay, we'll talk about next time. But
no, we're gonna have to think through that. Not elementary school. There's a time for a child to be a child. We are not.
Let's talk about that later. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it another time.
Right. Okay, so we've covered higher ed. That was really important to me.
But let me ask you this question.
Yes.
And I ask this because, again, leaders have to lead and leaders have to listen.
Okay.
My question to you, as a higher ed for many years, what can we do in Congress to make your job, make you excel greater than what you are today?
Pay us.
Compensation.
If people understood what educators up and down the ladder of education, what they endure, the politics, right? The red tape, and the overall job of no matter all that noise that's going on and happening and the way you're being pulled into every which way, you still have to hit those matrix. You know, you still have to ensure that students are passing your courses and the minimum requirements that are set in your syllabus by the state are being met. Pay us, because we carry so much stress. It's a lot to carry all that stress and still come short on bills. About 7 years ago, the Time magazine, all kind of national publications were sharing various stories about how educators were living in their vehicles, and people in higher ed, people with degrees and debt, living in their vehicles because they were only making enough to basically stay alive, not to keep a roof over their heads, right? Pay us compensation. Everybody wants to get paid. Everybody. Educators are why everyone is where they are, for the most part.
Yeah, we are
right. But we're at the lowest point on the totem pole, and then we get the side eye when we had a nerve to say, "Give us some more money." And people say, "Well, you had the summers off." They're actually earning interest because they should be paying us more during those 10 months, right?
So the money's already budgeted.
The money's already budgeted.
Yeah.
You know, so we really ain't getting off. You know, we making free money. No, we're not. That's a part of our salary. Educators, I watch educators. Now, I don't do this. I don't, and I probably never will. If I don't feel good, I'm not going to work.
Yeah.
I'm not dying for no job.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die because it's my time to go. But I'm not gonna be stressing, having a heart attack, becoming alcoholic, you know, all of those things because of stress of a job. If I'm not feeling good, I'm gonna go lay down, because that's what the doctor gonna tell me anyway. The doctor gonna tell you, I don't care what it is, 9 times out of 10, you go to a doctor's appointment because you're ill, they're gonna tell you get some rest, because your body has to heal itself, right?
And you know, you make a
but we get in trouble if we take off.
You do.
I've watched people come in and suffer, have the flu. Oh, I'll be all right. No, you poisoning the rest of us, and you killing yourself.
Yeah.
Because I promise, ain't no golden ticket if you drop dead.
Yeah, that's 100%.
You know.
And I'll say this, and this is one of the things that I'm going to talk to the White House. It's called the Big Beautiful Bill 2.0.
Come on, 2.0.
And I'm going to tell you what it is. You're going to like this. We talk about no tax on tips, but while we are collecting federal income taxes from our American heroes is our American educators. Every teacher in our nation should not, I don't care if it's K to 12, if it's higher ed, should not have to pay federal income taxes. You already been paid. The money's coming from taxes, so why are we double dipping? That's number one. Our firefighters, our law enforcement officers, they should be federal exempted. Federal income, no different from someone who get a check from as VA disability. It's the same check, no tax on it. And this is where we can encourage more individuals to get back. So your 20% raise you're talking about, we're gonna get that back on your federal income tax.
No, I want to raise. I want a Houston Fire Department raise. God,
you know,
I mean, because it's barely. Yeah. I mean, it's training.
Yeah,
it's training, and it's a huge risk. And I love firefighters.
They do MS more than firefight. Thank God.
You know, yeah, yes. EMTs. You know, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, pay us like you pay them.
And when they integrate with EMT services or EMS, the emergency medical services, they incorporate part of their job. It really put a bearing on them. No different from educators. And this is why we have to reinvest back in America. Our teachers are our future. They educate our futures. And if we could bring more educators and retain them, the key is key. Most teachers are dropping off in the first 2 years than ever right now, because they can't handle from evaluation to classroom management to you're not giving the best compensation,
because you're working more hours. You're working when you leave work. It ain't no bonus. It ain't no overtime.
No.
You know, law enforcement, they get overtime. They can take side jobs
Yeah.
in their uniform because they are. We don't have that.
And it all stems because we're not electing school board members. And this is the answer to the question. I'm going to finish on this response. You, as American citizens all across the US, you have to vote in school board elections. You have to engage in the forums and ask, tell them, like she said, pay our teachers. Talk to your state legislature where there's no state income taxes for teachers in states where you have state income taxes or local taxes. In the state of Texas, we don't. But on a federal level, this is my role as a congressman, is to say, hey, let's do no taxes on our educators.
So we can count on you to champion for educators.
Amen. All
Okay.
day long.
All right.
My mother will hunt me.
Your mother will hunt you. We don't want her to hunt you. Yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Wilmer here, Deddrick here, running for Congressional District 8 here in Texas. So your top 3 things, I would say flood mitigation.
Flood mitigation. Number 2 is reform the VA healthcare system.
Okay, VA.
And also to our number 3 is, of course, is bring our nation back together. And that is those 3 things that we have to do. And of course, appropriate dollars for more dollars back into our communities. And that starts from our smaller cities all the way to our large cities. And we have to do this. These are things that if we don't, you're talking about ghetto now, it's going to get more ghetto.
I don't use that word.
What you use?
I don't use the word ghetto.
What you use?
I don't.
You just say,
I just call stuff what it is.
What it is, just shitty?
If it's fucked up, if it's shitty, if it's great, like I just call a thing. But I don't use that term because that term has been weaponized against me and my community for far too long. So I don't use it.
And I'm going to correct that. Thank you for stating that. And I say this, that we have to reinvest in our community. And it starts from who we put in positions. This is not a popularity contest. And I don't know how many people, and I thank you for this conversation because we talk policy. And this conversation should be about policy, not rhetoric. This whole conversation is not about rhetoric. And this is what you want from your elected officials, and you want for people who are currently serving, who want to serve. Do they know what they're talking about? And do they do their homework and research, and do they talk to the people? And again, pretty professor, thank you.
You're welcome. Give the folks your website and where they can find you online.
They can find me just Google Deddrick Wilmer, DEDDRICK Wilmer. Our campaign is DeddrickWilmer.com, WilmerForTexas.com, or WilmerForCongress.com. Please go to our website. You see our entire platform. A very, very detailed to where I stand from all issues from immigration to economic development to healthcare to wellness to other projects that I would like to do in the Houston area. That we want to build the first city in America that has a high-speed train in the city. That can get you from the Woodlands, from Conroe all the way down to Pearland in 35 minutes.
At you, but okay.
Oh, they'd be all right. They'd be all right because they got to get to work. Because if you're working all the gas in Houston, you really earn your coin. So please support us. We will win this race. Again, only way we do this is because of you. You have to participate. And again, we have to unify a nation. And again, we can't stop giving one person that much credibility. On the credibility you need to give is your maker. Your maker is the one you get credibility that you focus your energy on, because everyone has 2 legs, feet, 2 hands, and everything else they may not have much of a brain, but it's functioning. So realize that don't give one person that much credibility. Focus. You have the power. The power is in you.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wilmer for Congress. He's running for Congressional District 8. We will be back here on Thursday. We'll be back on Thursday with Gina Hinosa, who is running for Texas governor. Wow. So we will see you then. Have a good one. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Stop. There we go.